Tom, great to see you. Welcome to Popternative.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
One of my favorite things about being just a fan of music and a musician myself is discovering new music, discovering new songwriters. And I feel like with this amazing documentary with Ike Reilly, that's what I got from it, right? I did not know about this. So is being discovered, the discoverability aspect of it, is that the first thing that kind of comes to mind when you have an idea to kind of be involved with a documentary about this? Or is it just kind of more simple, just chronicling an amazing songwriter?
Yeah, well, in part, Ike and I have been friends for a long time, and until he got sober, drinking buddies for a long time. And I was like, I owed him this. But no, I'm kidding. He's a great artist that the world really needs to hear. It's kind of like Bob Dylan with a rocker's edge in a way. We're from the same tiny town of Libertyville, Illinois, that also produced Marlon Brando, produced Adam Jones from Tool, and a couple of athletes as well. And it's this really archly conservative, fairly ethnically homogenous town that's, I left to go form Rage Against the Machine. He stayed, and his entire life has lived within this 1 mile radius, but has through that experience of the place of home and the frustration of not breaking out and the joy of raising a beautiful family there, has really created a body of work which is it's incredible in its artistic depth.
Is one of also kind of the takeaways is tons of, from a guitar perspective and also just from a, band perspective, Rage Against the Machine and all your other work as well. A lot of people kind of look up to you and you kind of inspire them to be musicians. Was there something in mind where your relationship with Ike, because you really love and thought he was an incredible kind of songwriter, was that something as well you wanted people to take away? They can be inspired by him as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And one, I want them to hear his music. And Ike jokes, he says, if this movie gets me 10 more gigs a year, we'll have done its job. I hope it gets him 100 more gigs a year, he would deserve to have that happen. But it is really just shining a spotlight on a great unknown artist. But it's not just shining. The point of the movie is not Ike is great, you should know his movie. The movie itself and his story is so compelling and is an artistic whole. If he never played another gig, just the life that he has led and the music that he's made to date, and it's the way that it's documented in this film, I think, is quite enough. I know he has got a lot more in him, but one of the things in the movie that really impressed me, where he's in his kind of studio where he admits, I spent so much time and so much heart and so much soul working on these songs that I don't know anybody's ever going to hear. But it hasn't stopped him, at 62 years old or whatever, and it's not going to stop him because he really is a true artist, and that's what true artists do.
And it's interesting because you mentioned the gigs and everything, and like I said, hopefully he'll do huge tours after this movie comes out. I want to take you back to 2005, Tom. Montreal, Quebec, Canada. One of my first shows. My uncle brought me to see Audio Slave, Seether, and 30 Seconds to Mars. And the reason I bring this up is the announcement of the tour that you were coming to Canada was an event itself, right? It was a big deal for all the kids at school who listen to that music. We were all excited and everything. When did you start thinking about that type of stuff? Was it back in the Rage days where the announcement of a tour and event was an event itself? It's pretty crazy to think about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's funny you should say that on Oasis Day today, But yeah, I mean, I totally remember as a kid when a Kiss tour would be announced or a Led Zeppelin tour, whatever would be announced. It was a huge deal. In my own life, when those tours go up, there's always a lot going on, sort of in the lives of bands, particularly in bands that are have complicated dynamics. But I do remember when in 2000. I guess it was 2020 when the Rage tour reunion tour was announced. I felt so excited that people were gonna hear that this band is finally coming. You know what I mean? That was really, really exciting, and perhaps the Oasis guys have that today. And I hope that one day Ike Reilly fans will feel that palpably. I certainly know they do in the hot where people love him, in Chicago, in Minneapolis, in Cleveland, in Austin, where he does have that, people are just as excited to hear that he's coming.
Do you have a favorite Ike Reilly song, or is that very hard for you to pick one?
There's a couple off the top of my head. There's Broken Parakeet Blues, which is, first of all, the thing that I love about Ike Reilly is his poetic lens. You can point that lens at his, relationship with his wife, relationship with his kids, at, a political event. And it's that beautiful poetic lens that takes any event or thing that makes it into Ike Reilly music. Having said that, a couple off the top of my head are Broken Parakeet Blues, which is this lament about the Iraq War era, but it's through seeing these teenage kids getting ready to get on the bus that will eventually lead them to a camp, which will eventually lead them to overseas to Lord knows what. But it's seen through the eyes of like their girlfriends who are saying goodbye, and their lack of knowledge about sort of anything that's going on other than that they used to be an athlete and now they're, and then Bolt Cutter, I think, is one of his most brilliant songs. Is it was in the aftermath of the Trump Muslim travel ban.
Yeah.
But rather than saying, this was a terrible president who's done this racist thing, it's a guy waiting for his girlfriend at O'Hare Airport, and she's chained down in baggage claim. So instead of calling an attorney, he calls his local DJ to say, bring some bolt cutters, come down here. They rescue her and take her to his favorite restaurant in Libertyville.
Yeah.
That's a very different way of sort of looking at a political event, but it's a uniquely Ike Reilly way.
Please don't ask me what my favorite Rage Against the Machine song is, Tom. It's too hard. It's way too hard. Audio Slave, sure, by a landslide, Show Me How to Live is my favorite Audio Slave song.
Okay, that's a jam.
I don't know. I mean, it might be a toss-up between Know Your Enemy, Testify, and Freedom. You can tell I'm a riff guy, right? I'm a riff guy.
I was in the car with my rocker son Roman yesterday, and he asked me what my favorite Rage song was, and I was like, I think he had just played Know Your Enemy, so I said today it's that one.
Yeah, Killing of the Name of though is one like that. Like, well, that song specifically, I don't know. Like, it depends. Like, maybe do you see that one as like the rate? Like, that song's all like everywhere at sporting events. Like, do you think about that at all?
Yeah, I mean, on our very, very first tour of Europe, the tour manager guy who was a philosophy major, whispered, we were at some heavy metal club, and he like yelled in my ear, like Killing in the Name came on. He said, you may write better songs than this. You might write more nuanced, poetic songs than this. You might write better riffs than this. But I got a feeling this is the song that you guys are going to be known for. And he kind of hit it on the head that long ago.
And last quick question before we wrap up. You mentioned your son. He's doing incredible things already in music. You have, collabed with some of my favorite artists. At the top of the interview, I talked about Discover, right? Maneskin, Baby Metal. I love these artists. Isn't it cool to see the global component of it, though? Like, these artists are coming from all around the world, Tom. It's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, that is something that is a more recent phenomenon, where you can be from Italy, you can be from Japan. We're all I played festival shows with, I think maybe on the same day, with Baby Metal and Måneskin, and there's this kind of this greater acceptance in rock and roll and other places as well, that you can really be from anywhere, even Libertyville, Illinois.
Absolutely. Don't Turn Your Back on Friday Night is an incredible documentary that you're an executive producer on about Ike Reilly, iconic musician. Tom, it is an honor and privilege to speak with you. Thank you so much for your time, man.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
Thanks.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.